Hello and welcome. Today we're going to look at yoga for tight hips. Now, whilst it can be tempting to want to go just into the hot spot where you're feeling the tension, it's important to remember that everything is linked and connected. So in this session today we're going to look at loosening and stretching the muscles all the way around the hips, the pelvis, back body, front body, so that we create some ease and relief in muscles and connective tissues. If you're feeling particularly tight in the hips, you may want to have a block handy. This just gives us the option of creating a little more space when muscles are very tight. So let's get started. Coming over onto all fours, hands under shoulders, fingers pointing forwards, knees under hips, hip width apart. And we're going to start just by swaying the hips from side to side. And that's already a pretty good indicator if you have tension in your glutes. And into the center. And now breathing in, let's lift the head, open up the heart, coming into cow. Exhale, round the spine, looking to the belly button, drawing in the abdominals, pelvic floor. In breath, release. Lifting head. Exhale, round. One more time. And exhale, round. In-breath brings us into neutral. Weight on your right knee. Let's start to circle the left knee, left hip. Keeping the arms nice and strong. And now as your knee comes down, let's draw the knee up into the chest, rounding the spine. Inhale, lengthen through the leg, reach through the crown. Exhale, round knee to chest. Inhale, lengthen, reach through the crown. Exhale, round knee to chest. One last time, inhale, lengthen. Curl your toes and place the foot over to the right. Looking over your right shoulder now, let's open up left side of the body. Smooth and steady breaths. And bring the foot and the knee back to center. Weight on the left knee. We're going to circle the right knee, right hip now. And as the knee comes down, let's draw the knee up into the chest. With an inhale, lengthen and reach through the crown, keeping the arms strong. Exhale, round, knee to chest. Inhale, lengthen, reach through the crown. One last time, exhale, round. Inhale, lengthen, curl the toes and place the foot over to the left. Press into the heel and look over your left shoulder, opening up the right side of the body. Smooth and steady breaths. And let's bring the knee back to the mat. Let's circle the tailbone now, like we're drawing a circle with our butt. Head is nice and relaxed, neck is relaxed. Opposite direction. And now curling the toes under, draw the belly in and up, and we lift into downward facing dog. Shaking out the head, relax the shoulders. Let's press through the heels one after the other. Stretching out backs of the legs. Pressing into the heels so we can also stretch into the hip and the glute. Slowly waking up the back of the body. Pressing into the underside of the fingers, and with your right heel pressing down, raise the left leg up. Bend the left knee and lift and open the knee and the hip like a dog peeing on a lamppost. Leg lengthens, hips level, and bring the foot to the mat. And pressing down through left heel, raise the right leg up. Bending the right knee, lift and open right knee, right hip. Lengthen the leg, level the hips, foot to the mat, knees to the ground. Taking the knees a little wider, let's sit all the way back into child's pose. Walking the hands forwards, resting your forehead on the ground. Relaxing the shoulders, sending the breath nice and low down into the body. Now lifting up the head. Let's draw the knees together, curl the toes, and walk the feet just behind the hands. Keeping the knees nice and soft, hands onto the elbows, relax the head, and let the torso sway from left to right. Releasing the elbows, looking to your knees. Keep the knees nice and soft as we roll up through the body, coming up to the top. Rolling back the shoulders and stepping to the top of the mat. Coming into Tadasana. Tadasana is when we're in alignment. The skeleton is in complete alignment, so the muscles can be as relaxed as possible. So shoulders, hips and ankles need to be in alignment. And through the center of the body, we're aligning crown, heart center, and pelvic floor. So take a moment just to even up the weight distribution between your feet, left and right, heel and toe, until you feel nicely balanced, and bring the hands into the heart space. Relax your shoulders. A very subtle lift through the heart as we feel the spine lengthen, taking a deep breath in. Exhale, relax the hands, inhale and lift the arms. Palms overhead, fold from the hips. Bringing hands down beside the feet, left foot stepping back into a lunge and bring the knee to the ground. Flattening toe, lift the torso, lift the arms for Anjaneyasana. Relax your shoulders. Take a subtle lift through the hips and exhale, sink the hips down and forwards. Let's do that one more time. Hands coming down to the mat. Curl your back toes under, lifting the knees, strong back leg. Stepping smoothly back into downward facing dog. Relax your head and neck. Tailbone nice and high. You may need to make a few adjustments here so you feel like you're really lengthening. Nice deep in-breath. And exhale, bring knees to the mat. Keeping the bottom raised, let's lower the heart between the hands, elbows close to the body, chin to the mat, and glide onto the belly. Toes point. Draw the shoulders back and inhale, curl up into cobra. Exhale, release down. And again, keeping the legs nice and strong and active, breathing in, lift up. Exhale, release down. The hands are quite light, so I'm not putting lots of weight. Let's do that one last time without the hands on the mat. Inhale and lift. Exhale, release hands to the mat. On the inhale, press onto your knees. Exhale, stretch back to your heels. And inhaling, lift onto your knees, curl the toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathing in, left foot to the sky. Exhale, knee to chest, stepping left foot between the hands. Right knee to the mat as we come into a lunge. Torso lifts, arms lift, Anjaneyasana. Release the shoulders. Take an in-breath, lift your hips very slightly. And exhale, sink the hips down and forwards. And again. Let's take hands to the mat. Curl the back toe under, lifting the knee, nice strong back leg, and stepping smoothly to the top of the mat. Releasing crown of the head downwards. Soften your knees, stretch the arms out wide to the side so we have natural curves in the spine. Breathing in, lifting all the way up, hands overhead. Exhale, hands back to heart. One more round, take a deep in breath, relax your shoulders. Exhale, release the hands. Inhaling, lift the arms. Exhale, fold from the hips. Take hands beside the feet. Let's step left foot back. And bring the left knee to the ground. Lift the arms and torso into Anjaneyasana. Relax your shoulders. And now take the hands to the inside of the foot. This is where you might want to block. I'll demonstrate with the block, and if you can do it without. I'm going to walk the hands forwards, and maybe the elbows come to the ground, maybe they don't. This is where the block can be really handy. Maybe you have it on a higher setting. If you don't need the block, bring your elbows all the way down to the mat and try and keep your right knee close to the right shoulder. We call this Uttan Prishtasana, the lizard. Curling your left toes under, lift up the knee, press into the left heel. Lengthen through the leg, reach through the crown. One more slow deep breath. And exhaling, let's walk the hands back. One either side of the right foot. The right arm lifts now, keeping the hips nice and low. Let's circle the arm backwards once. And bring the hand down to the mat. Smoothly stepping back, downward facing dog. Sit bones nice and high. Press through the heels, one after the other. Take a nice deep in-breath and exhale, come forwards into plank. So we're going to press the heels away, reach through the crown of the head, tummy in, and lift the heart into the back of your chest so that you're not collapsing. So you have a nice strong back body. Let's take knees to the mat, heart between the hands, chin to the mat, and glide through onto the belly. Toes point. Breathing in, curling up once again into cobra, hands are light. Exhale, releasing down, breathing in, let's curl the toes and press into plank. Lift the sit bones, downward facing dog. Inhaling, raise your left leg up to the sky. And exhale, step the left foot between the hands. Flattening the back toes for balance, let's lift torso and arms, Anjaneyasana, relax the shoulders. And now take hands to the inside of the foot. This is where you may need your block to rest your elbows, and start to walk the hands forwards. Maybe one elbow comes down, maybe both, maybe neither. But this is part of your practice, so with consistent practice, hopefully you start to create more flexibility and space. Curling now your right toes under. As we press into the heel, we lift up the right knee, lengthening through the leg, lengthen through crown, keeping the left knee close to the left shoulder. On the exhale, let's walk the hands back. One either side of the front foot. And now left hand lifts up to the side. Keep the back leg strong, keep the hips nice and low. The temptation can be to lift the hips. Keep the hips low. Let's circle the arm once, twice, and bring the hand down to the mat. Now step smoothly to the top of the mat. Release the crown of the head downwards, turn your tailbone up. Let's bend the knees and rest the belly on the knees. Take a nice deep in-breath. As you exhale, let's start to lengthen the backs of the legs. In-breath, bend the knees, belly to the thighs. And exhale, lengthening the backs of the legs. One last time. In-breath, soft knees, belly to thighs. And exhale, lengthening the backs of the legs. And now softening the knees, let's take the arms wide, natural curves in your spine as we lift, inhaling, coming all the way up. And exhale, hands back to heart. Release. I always like to hula hoop. So hands on the hips, let's hula hoop the hips. That really helps get into all this connective tissue. We have the densest connective tissue in the middle third of the body. So it's really no wonder that from time to time, the hips can get a little tight. So we'll try one standing pose before we come down onto the mat, and this is standing pigeon. Now you may need the wall because it's the challenge for the balance. We'll start with the left side. Really creating a nice suction cup with your left foot. So we're drawing the energy up from the ground. We're feeling grounded and stable. Bring the right ankle onto the left knee. and take that right knee as perpendicular as you can. We'll have hands in balance position. Let's start to bend the knee just a little and straighten. Bending the knee and straightening. One last time. And on this next go, we're going to stay in what feels like our lowest position. And if you can, try bringing hands together into Namaste. So we're really stretching out the right hip. And then breathing in, let's smoothly come back up to standing. Release. And have a nice shake out through the legs, through the hips. If you're feeling quite intense energy in the left leg, it's good to just massage the leg, send the prana around so we don't get a congestion of prana anywhere in the standing leg. And we're ready for the other side. So spreading the toes, creating that kind of gecko foot. So we create the suction pad. There's a nice exchange of energy with the ground, giving us support. As we step fully into the right foot, left ankle onto the right knee, perpendicular left knee. Hands in balance. Helpful to fix your gaze on one point so that we have a steady mind. Let's start to gently bend and straighten. Can also be very helpful to gently contract pelvic floor, abdominals, keeping the core nice and steady. So each time deepening. And on this next bend, let's come to our lowest point. Sinking into what feels like our edge. And if you can, bringing hands into Namaste. Perhaps thinking a little more. And slowly lengthening, coming all the way back up. Hands to the sides of the body, foot to the mat. Have a little shake out. And again, if you feel a heat in the right leg, move that energy around with your hands, literally like you're spreading it out. Spreading it out, moving the prana through the leg evenly. Great. And as always, a shake and a hula hoop for the hips. Stepping to the top of the mat. We'll prepare to come down onto the mat, but we've got one pose before we do that. Let's lift the arms, take an in-breath. Exhale, folding. Now let's take our fingertips to the ground. And we'll step into the left foot, raising the right leg. And bring your nose down towards the knee as we lengthen the standing leg. We keep it nice and strong. And now let's lengthen the the arms. Lengthen the arms. Stretch your left arm out to the side and rotate your torso to the left, keeping the right leg raised. Bring the hand down to the mat. Right foot joins the left. Bend the knees and sink your tailbone down. It's a really nice stretch for the glutes. And lengthening the legs. This time, right foot is the standing leg, raising the left leg. Nose towards the knees, having a good stretch. Lengthening the arms. This time we lengthen the right arm out to the side and rotate torso and heart to the right, keeping the left leg raised. And bring the hand down to the mat, foot to the mat. Bend the knees, sink the tailbone down so we can stretch the glutes. And lengthening the legs, let's take hands to the mat and step back into downward facing dog. Preparing now for pigeon. So this is not ideal if you have dodgy knees. I'll give you an alternative. For those who don't have dodgy knees, let's bring the left knee up to the chest, coming forwards into plank. Place your foot over to the right and then park your left knee, literally kissing your left wrist, and stretch out the right leg. Now if your hips are super tight, this is where the block can come in handy. You might want to just slide it under the left buttock, okay? So for those who've got dodgy knees, you're going to come onto your back instead and place your left ankle on the right knee, hugging the right knee into the chest. So for those in pigeon, take a moment, see if you can level off your hips. Because if the hips are really tight, we tend to roll away from the tension. Check behind you that the right leg looks reasonably straight. And as and when your body is ready, we can ease forwards onto the elbows, or you can even take the arms all the way forwards or elbows wide. Quite nice to rest the head on a block. Or you can rest your head on the mat. Take some slow, steady exhales here. And try not to check out. It's so easy to let the mind take over and start doing your shopping list. But remember, you've dedicated this time to be in your practice and actually listening to your body. So see if you can connect with the areas where you feel the deepest stretch. Breathing in, send the energy of your breath into that place. And on the exhale, let that spot soften. And we'll take 2 more breaths like that, sending the energy of the breath into the tension. And on the exhale, letting the tension release. When it's time for the 3rd breath, we'll walk the hands, strengthening the arms, the hands walk back. This is an option for those who are feeling pretty stretchy today. If you're not feeling stretchy, don't do this. And don't do it too slowly, otherwise you can end up with cramps in the right hamstring. So we bend the right knee and we reach back to take hold of the ankle. You can either take it with the left hand, or if it's more easy for you, you can take the right hand. Sometimes people even need to roll out a little bit to do this. As I say, the whole thing is optional. It's a very deep stretch for the quad. So very released, very nice and smoothly, so we're not suddenly shocking the body, and we're going to roll onto the left buttock. The right leg comes all the way over the top. Make sure there's space, and we're going to sit down now, equal pressure through both sit bones. So you just need to make sure that left foot is out of the way. Perfect. And when you feel that the shoulders are level, the sit bones have equal pressure, we'll just sit for a couple of moments and breathe as we ground down through the sit bones. Now, keeping your left hand on the knee, we take the right hand behind us on the mat. A distance where we feel like we're not lounging, we're still upright. Take a slow lengthening in-breath. And as you breathe out, belly to the right, ribs, shoulders, neck, and head. You may want to bring your left forearm onto the right thigh. And each time you breathe out, notice the softening in your body, the space that's created to deepen the twist. Keep relaxing the shoulders, consciously releasing. And on your next in-breath, slowly unwind. You can take a mini twist to the left and center. And now with the right foot lifted up, take the right leg all the way behind, curl the toes, come back onto the left knee, and glide as smoothly as you can back into downward facing dog. And let's press through the heels, stretching out back to the legs. And now let's prepare for the right side. So right knee into the chest as we come into plank. Foot goes over to the left. Place your right knee, literally kissing your right wrist. And then we can lengthen the left leg along the ground. Left leg reasonably straight. Leveling off your pelvis and your hips so we're not rolling away from any tension as best you can. Again, you can always use your block under the right buttock, and if you've got dodgy knees, lie on your back and place your right ankle on the left knee, hugging left knee into chest. When the moment's right, you can start to walk the hands forwards, either pausing on the elbows, taking elbows wide, resting head on a block, and softening into your pose. Now there's every chance this hip feels completely different to the other hip. We carry lots of imbalances in the body, which is why our yoga practice is so awesome. It helps us wake up to the imbalances. We start to understand what's going on in the body, or at least feel what's going on in the body. And we can use the energy of our breath to relieve tension. So let's breathe into the place where we feel the most tension. And exhale, give it permission to dissipate. Let's do that 2 more times. Making sure you breathe all the way out and that it's a nice belly breath. Let's place hands onto the mat. Start walking hands back. And the option that is not for everybody, but maybe for some people, bending the left knee, reaching back to take hold of the ankle, giving the left thigh a nice stretch. Try and keep your shoulders relaxed. It's easy to end up with the shoulders wrapped around the ears, so we feel spacious around the neck. And then smoothly releasing. Let's roll onto the right buttock and draw the left foot all the way round and over the top, creating a space for the left buttock to sit down and press equally into the mat as the right. If the hips are super tight, you may want to sit on a block. I'll just show you. So it's both sit bones on the block, and it just gives a little more space for the hips, so that can be a nice starting point if things feel really tight. So let's level off the shoulders. Equal pressure through the sit bones as a lift through the heart, so we feel a nice lengthened spine. Keeping your right hand on the knee, take your left hand behind you to a position where we're not leaning back. The spine is still vertical. The spine is the axis around which we're turning, so we need to have that vertical axis. Let's lengthen as we breathe in. Belly to the left, ribs, shoulders, neck and head. And if you prefer, you can bring the right forearm onto the left thigh. And then wait for the softening of the exhale. So I can feel a real imbalance in my back here. It's not able to rotate as far as it was on the other side. So I'm not going to push into that. That's my guide. And as I really concentrate on the breath and the releasing, I can feel it releasing a little, but I'm not going to push into that. We really need to be guided by the wisdom of our bodies. As we inhale, let's slowly unwind now, returning to the front. And a mini twist to the right to neutralize the spine. And return to center. The left leg lifts up, and we take it all the way behind, curling the toes under. And let's press up. Tailbone up, press through the heels, one after the other. Shaking out the head, stretching out hips, glutes, hamstrings. And let's bring our knees to the mat, just a little wider than natural position, and sit all the way back into child's pose, resting your head on the ground, relaxing your shoulders, and just seeing if there's any difference in that sort of lower back region, hips, midsection. Breathing in, let's lift up onto the knees. And we transfer now nice and smoothly onto sit bones, ready for Baddha Konasana or butterfly. soles of the feet together. And it's important that we're on the top of our sit bones. If the pelvis is back, there's really nowhere to go. So we need to sit up nice and tall and get that lumbar curve. Again, sit on a block if this is really uncomfortable for you. So a nice diamond shape, feet not too close, not too far. You just have to play around with it a little and see what works for you. Lifting through the heart as you breathe in. Exhaling, we're going to walk the hands forwards until we feel our first edge. Pause when you feel the first edge, the first resistance from the body. Take an in-breath. The in-breath gives you buoyancy and lift. And exhale, softening again into your edge. And let's do that again. Do it as many times as you need to. I always like to do that 3 or 4 times on my way into a pose like this. And when we listen to the body and we move with the breath, the body is far more willing to release. So I'm really listening to the messages in my spine, my lower back, hips. And I'm actually giving them full permission to release and soften. It may be that you feel you're holding on the inner thighs, in which case give the inner thighs permission to soften and relax. Nice full exhales, no forcing. Let gravity take you. We'll take one more full exhale. And as we press down through the hands, we'll slowly walk back. Nice smooth transition. Knees to center line. And then step the feet out to the width of the mat and we roll the knees down towards the mat like windscreen wipers. And center. We'll complete our practice today with a twist. So let's ease down onto the back. Nice and slowly, using the core muscles, pelvic floor. Just check your ponytail isn't in the way of the back of your head and bring the knees into the chest. And let's circle the knees. And that will be a really nice massage for the spine. 2 options for our final twist. One is, well, cactus arms. Keeping the knees together, we take the knees over to the left and the head to the right. If that's too easy for you, the second option is to cross the right leg over the left and then lower the legs to the left. If both of those are too hard, keep the knees together and then prop your knees on a block or a cushion, just so that they're not going all the way down to the ground. So whichever of those feels good for you. Listen to your body. Don't think that forcing is always a good thing. It's better to listen and be guided by the feedback of your body. Check that your feet are relaxed, lower legs, knees, thighs. Try and relax the right hip, right rib cage, right shoulder and pectoral muscle, right arm, right hand. Nice, slow, long exhalations. Consciously releasing. Consciously surrendering into the ground. On your next in-breath, we slowly now draw the knees back into the chest. If your legs are crossed, uncross the legs. And we'll circle the knees, hugging them inwards. Realigning the spine, massaging the spine. Ready for the other side, cactus arms. So on the exhale, let's roll the knees to the right, head to the left. And breath by breath, softening from the feet, through the lower legs, the thighs. Sending the energy of the breath into the left hip, into the left rib cage, into the left pectoral, left shoulder, left arm. Softening, relaxing. Breath by breath, once again surrendering to gravity. Let's take one last exhalation. And then nice and smoothly draw your knees back into the chest. Wrapping arms around the knees, let's hug the knees, circling. And you can either ease yourself to the side or rock yourself back up to seated. Let's find a comfortable cross-legged position. See if there's any difference in your body now from when we started the practice. And let's circle the spine. Other direction. Keeping the shoulders nice and relaxed. And into the center. Let's take hands together now in front of the heart space, closing down the eyes. Take a deep in breath. As you exhale, bowing your head down to your fingertips. And take a moment to thank yourself for making this time on your mat to do your practice. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, drop a comment below and I'd be happy to help.